Trying to figure this out, y'all. I want y'all to comment. So if I spend, I don't know how long, but I'm gonna figure this out. What do you think? Politics? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Will this work? This does work. Or does it? What does this show as? Yes, I can see you. I can see you, Billy. Can people comment now? I don't know if I can see everybody now. I can see the hearts. That's it. Oh, can y'all comment? Is it not just premium now? We did it. We did it. All right. All right. It's open, and I'm not closing it. Keep it open. Just make sure. We good. We good. We good. Oh, I'm so hyped that worked. I'm so hyped that worked. All right, let's get into it. Bum, bum. No, I just want to see the video. Just so I can look at the chat over here too. All right. All right, let's get into it. Um, not a ton of changes from yesterday. Yeah, what's up? What's up, everybody? How we doing? How we doing? I figured out the chat. Shout out Billy. Help me out with that earlier. It was huge. Ooh, touchdown Texas. Um, but yeah, we so we have it set, right? Talked about it earlier. The storm, the train tracks are set for this system to come. Now it's just a matter of figuring out where it's gonna come, right? I really like in terms of potential area. I think the potential for this area to get a pretty significant snowstorm. I think what we need to come together over the past 24, 48 hours to have something to track is together. There's something there now. I can't tell you where the big banding's gonna be and all that fun stuff quite yet. Okay, we just have to wait a little bit, but it's becoming more and more confident, right, as we're seeing ensembles, right? You can see in the GEFS Jeffs right here that, take a look from this run to the previous run, right? The darker those colors get, the more confident, the more members that are putting, um, right, that upper level low, right, just south of Long Island, all right? And that's a perfect track for I-95, New England, Northeast to get a significant snowstorm. That's a perfect track. And Euro's a little bit farther north, Canadian's a little actually, I didn't even look at the latest Canadian. Let's take a look. You know what I'm gonna do too is I'll turn that up a little bit too. Um, too far. Ooh, yeah, Canadian is just strung out. I mean, the pieces are still there. It's just really strung out on this one. So I don't know what it looks like on the surface, but it's pretty strung out. I guess on the surface it kind of okay still, but it's just a little strung out. Not everything's put together. I mean, and that's why we're still 5.5 days outish, 5.5, a little less than 6 days out. So there's still going to be some things that need to be sorted out, right? When you're this far out, all those little details are harder to figure right now, and that's not what we're going to do. We're not going to go into all those little details, but the stuff is there. Because when you look at it, I mean, this is especially when we look at that latest GFS. Let's break that down a little bit. When you go, go 500. Right. Look at this latest GFS. I mean, just an absolute banger of a run. Look at that. Look at that. I mean, just such a strong upper level to work with. Here, again, here's what excites me um, about this system is right when you're following. Yeah, I mentioned that. Well, that's we're gonna talk about that. I'll show 'em a little bit. But what excites me is right, super dynamic 500 millibar vort, right, and then also look how far south, right, our main upper level low right here, right, this big piece right here, right, it's gonna get a little bit stretched out and elongated, but the main, right, area of spin, right, you can see where that is pretty clearly, right, and that piece kinda slides around in there and kinda helps amplify that, and then but notice, look how far south this floor is gonna take, right? Even though it's not a ridiculous, classic, right, big old, super long trough, right, where you can dip down and dip back up. Look how far south our water is digging here on this. So you're gonna tap into all this good moisture down here. All this good moisture, you're gonna pull this in, right? And then as that low pressure starts to intensify, it's gonna wrap in and start pulling all this stuff, and it's gonna allow for somewhere to get some pretty huge snowfall. Now, it's not all perfect, right? If this gets a little bit more elongated, trying out in the next few days, then maybe I'll have a tougher time trying to wrap this in, and instead of throwing a lot of this back, and it still gets, just off the upper level low, but it's gonna have trouble extending out farther into the interior, and also it's gonna slide out and be a little bit weaker of a storm. Whereas a little bit stronger storm, and again, that doesn't necessarily mean it has to be a 980, 985 low pressure system. And I think December 17th, 2020 is a good example of that. But if you can just go negative enough and you can really wrap in, you see how tight the port is, right? And allows you to wrap in and pull in all this convection, pull all this in, and throw this back out. And then as secondary load takes over, you're gonna allow as that secondary low, you see how our upper level low really consolidates and strengthens here. Just, I mean, just south of Long Island. So now this cold air is dying down, and from here now you can start pulling. That's where you get that warm air advection. You get these two to meet, and in between the banding. So this is what excites me a lot about the storm is are those factors, and along with also look at the axis amplification we get, and then it slides out right that block we have in place here, right? Perfect timing for this block we have, right? Slide in all this cold air, right? Have cold air in place, right? But before the secondary really starts to take over, um, it's gonna be harder for places down here and also just farther south in latitude, closer to the equator geographically. Just it's harder for those southern places to get snow, and terrain, higher terrain, Appalachians, yes. But these places in here are gonna have a tougher time because notice upper level low hasn't quite consolidated yet, and just look where you are geographically. Once it starts to move east and push up a little bit farther north, you're relying on some backing snow back down here, which could maybe, but it's not even worth getting into details like that. We're still trying to figure out a track, right? Because again, if this is a little bit weaker and we don't get the amplification, you're right, a little bit. See all these height lines, right? If we didn't have this block in place, this thing would be going way far north. But we have that in place, so it's going to prevent this thing from really driving north in the interior, and instead it's going to slide out. So it's going to slide out. So the weaker, the more elongated this becomes, and the less this can wrap, before it can wrap up, uh, then that's when we see a little bit harder time. We'll see some of those GFS scenarios like we saw today, um, and you have a harder time getting that snow shield to push as far north. Right. Now, I'm not really too concerned about, at least at the moment, a lot of people are talking about some specific details in terms of the snow cutting down. You get, I mean, yes, but for the main action of the storm, right, it's going to produce happens, right? And there's going to be, I think, the snow shield even being underestimated, especially if it pulls this in. So we go negative, we start to pull this in, all this convection. Look where the upper level low is. I mean, you're going to get snow back into here, right? The heaviest, but you'll get snow. I think that's an example. If it's not the system, I'd have to go back and look 500, but it's a little similar. It's gonna lie. You look at the block you have, and the way you're pulling in the moisture feed, the way you're all the way from down here. That's where models underestimated it with that storm. Now, again, no two storms are alike, but that's where you can start to some of these models can underestimate maybe the potential for from some of that banding when you look at where you're getting your moisture from, where you're tapping into, where did this. I mean, you see it's going to be entrenched with some of that Gulf of Mexico, right, juice. It's going to get down pretty far south, gains latitude, and then also I think there's a pretty good ceiling with this storm as well. Potentially, I mean, I don't know if we looking at 3 to 4 feet like we were December 17th, but what we do have is notice, right? It gains latitude and then it meets that block and then it slides out and pivot. So whoever is able to get on the axis and it can just and it just slides out. Now at this point you're looking at a long period now. Maybe that's if it's gonna gain less latitude, then you'll get a little bit less vertical banding here and it'll just be more straight, it will slide out. And then from there you'll probably see a weaker system, but you will mid-Atlantic will places at the coastline will make it a little bit better, like these places. Again, and that's just dependent on if we get that kind of track. Now with the euro, it's a little bit different. Let's take a look here. Whoa, come back. I'll go back to the 12Z. It doesn't go out that far. Actually, let me look at some questions with the euro. Is that better for the mic? Is that better for mic? Someone let me know. Hopefully, hopefully the mic. Okay. I can also turn this up a little bit more as well. Um, okay. did that at least did anybody hear any of that, or do I need to go over a lot of that stuff? I feel bad now. I'm on spot. But, I mean, I'll go over it again, but it'll be some of the same stuff if I have to. I'll go to the Euro, and then I'll talk about if you guys didn't hear any of that, then I'll do okay, heard it. Just sounded a little let me go to here, I'll show you the Euro. Show you the Euro and some of the differences. Just lagging a little bit. Let me go to I want 12Z. Oh, this is 12Z. Okay. Get a little bit better resolution on the Euro. But what's the can I compare? Comparison. Wait, can I pull up another model now? Hmm. No, that's okay. I'll just go here. Uh, I'll get to understand that better. Oh, that's too far. Mm, a little bit. You can see some of the GFS and Euro actually kind of similar tonight, where you can see. I really need to figure this out. But I can just do this. Take out, take out that, and then we can take out that. And I might, I have a bad habit of talking to my hand as well. So that's only just because I'm trying to focus. All right, with the Euro too, I mean, I guess it's kind of similar, but what you have is right. You have a nice amplified, a real strong 500 millibar Vort Max, and then it just slides out. I mean, it's able to pull in, it's able to amplify a little bit, pull in, and then I mean, it's able to pull in this while gaining latitude. This whole system here, and you're tapping right, pull air, come in through the backside as well. So you got a lot of good stuff going on here. On the Euro, it's just a little bit more elongated, and then it really starts to wrap up. It's just a much more amplified system. I don't know if we'll get something like that, because then you start getting into a little bit of a phase going on almost at this point. Um, and I don't know if that's that kind of system. A lot of runs is just it could be it's time to change. Mike is tough. Jesus. Hold up, I got a solution. I get one for a second. How's that? That should be better. It sounds like I'm underwater. I should be concerned for my health then. Just fine. Let me look. Not normal. Damn, that stream is laggy tonight. It just might be the internet, to be honest. The stream is that blurry on I hope it's not that blurry for you. It's not on Twitter, I can see, but we missed the live stream. I mean, a lot of people were here. Alright, I gotta get back on track. Oh, it's clear on YouTube? Okay. But you can see on the euro and the GFS how it's a little bit. You can see how it's able to consolidate and not get too elongated, right? It's almost like, it's able to use some of this speed, but this takes over, um, and this work max takes over and allows you, for this to amplify and gain further latitude and consolidate better. Um, and that's where you look at a better snowstorm model. That Euro run today, and then also the same thing, similar with the GFS, not quite the same thing, but a similar thing. You see how this isn't holding this back, and this kind of just took a lot more of this, so this is weaker, and now it's just gonna wrap this thing up. So exactly how the energy consolidates, that's still yet to be determined a little bit. And notice then as right, let's try to hit back into this thing. Scientific. That's the scientific way to say that. What's the time? Are we in snowfall? That's a good question. That's possible. The time of when is this? Yeah, yeah, that could actually be possible. The GFS is also faster with this as well. I noticed on this front. Um, so the time is still a little bit. It's hard to say if this is a Sunday morning to Monday morning kind of thing, or if this is midday Sunday through midday Monday. For the I think this ceiling, the potential, what we're looking at totals is I think there's good potential for a big swath of 6 to 12 somewhere. I don't know exactly some of those high ends. I'm not make any predictions yet. I think there is the potential for more. I think there definitely is the potential for people to see more than that. But just given there's so many pieces that I mean, look at it, we're 5.5 days, five 5 days out. There's a lot that still needs to be sorted. Our energy isn't even sure yet. It's coming tomorrow night, about 24 to 48 hours from now is when it's gonna be coming. And then I think that's when you'll see less variability in terms of, location-wise. But the train tracks are set. The train tracks are set. This was what I was saying. This block is gonna come through, right? This piece connected to the polar vortex sets the stage. You have your cold air in place. That's come through too, right? You have your cold air, and you have your main vortex here, right? Depending on this interaction with this piece, how it comes in, that could change what's gonna change the next few days, how that all around as well. And then as it comes through, right, tap in. I was saying earlier, piece is gonna specify right. Go and this is also why look how organized the count looks, right? It's a strong. This is where your vortex is. It's where around your upper level low is in general. And it's gonna consolidate around that area, and it's gonna keep sliding out to the east, and then from there, that's where you get dunked on, right? You wanna be here's another thing, right, this is your upper level low. This this would produce snow all the way back into here. I don't know what it looks like if this would produce snow all the way back in here, at least light to moderate snow. And then your heaviest snow on this model run would be, like, in here, on that specific model run. NYC high end potential, yes. Snow and a Monday is a possibility. Yes, yes. Um, that is a possibility. What was I saying about NYC? What was I saying about NYC? NYC, high end potential. I don't. I would lean away from NYC being a jackpot area. I would lean away from that. Put a gun in my head. I would be a little bit just north of NYC, but it's still a bit early. I mean, this whole thing gets lies south about 100 miles from New York City. Tech, given how amplified our ridge is a little bit, here it's not. You can see our height lines. You have your 570, 573 all the way up here, and maybe 560 right, super wide. So there's some for suppression, obviously, but those are gonna keep rising as well. When you have your 570 height line that hard, it really makes it difficult for this to just drop so far south now. It's really hard for that to do. Any chance again, it's too hard to look at a rain mix line. It could end up, I think you have a good shot if the upper level low is in a position to make the GFS, where it Rhode Island would be also pretty much you would see that. I mean, Rhode Island's a small state, but it would depend on where in Rhode Island too. 500 feet elevation in northern Rhode Island versus, on the coastline makes a big difference. And that's right, really, in the grand scheme of things, it's been pretty steady over the past 1 to 2 days. It's been pretty even the past 1 to 3 days. It's been pretty steady relative to how far out, right? And when you have that steadiness this far out, always it's usually a pretty good sign of what's to come, right? The train tracks are set, this thing is coming, it's just a matter of where at this point really now. The Russian model, I'll check the Russian model for you guys right now. Well, looks like they don't have it yet. But yeah, what other questions do we got? Happy to answer. Overall, there's only so much. I love going into those. So like, in depth, but I don't wanna do that, 5.5 days out. I don't wanna do that 5 to 5.5 days out now, right? Tomorrow, and we continue to have some steadiness, tomorrow and the next day, that's when we can start really going in depth, looking at 700 because I've been looking at some of these 700s for some reason, and boy, let me tell you, they are juicy. They are juicy, and that's why it makes me think some of the higher end potential with this system is attainable in terms of the potential for some swaths more than 12 inches. Um, Again, Canadian's just a bit strung out with the energy, right? It really tries to amplify around here. Not really a lot of models have been showing that. I guess it's the most wildest possibility. But even then, you still get a snowstorm. I'm curious to see what happens after. There's going to be a pretty dynamic system. Um, all indications for that have been it's gonna be an interior putter with that thing, so with maybe some front potential, but even then, when you're pulling in, never you're not likely to get a snowstorm when you're pulling all that warm air up or anything, really. Hate to break it to you guys, but one thing at a time. I think ski country is gonna make out super well over the next few weeks. I think ski country has a lot of good potential over the next few weeks. NAMM doesn't go out this far. NAMM goes out to 84 hours, and even then, it's not that good that far out. They're discontinuing, I think, after this year or next year. Just take a look at the ensembles for the and then we'll hop off. Last any questions, hop into Billy's stream after too. He's gonna go live, probably in about 15 to 20 minutes after I'm done. So, but we'll take a look at some of the abilities here from the Jeffs. Um, January, February, March will be big. Yeah, we won't be here for February, March, but see what we can get in during January. So winter regions, U.S. regions. Look at that juiciness right there. All right, that's the next one after. How does that compare? Let's see how that compares to the previous run. There you go. Bigger and bigger. Those totals getting bigger and bigger on each run. Right, I don't really look for the exact totals. Don't really concern yourself with that. Um, you just look for movement from run to run. You can look at this little GIF here. Paired runs. Right. Yeah. See those totals get bigger and bigger. More confidence, right? And wavering around a little bit, right? You see a little bit of a wobble north to south, but for the most part, um, relatively steady and just increasing, which is what you like to see as you get closer to the potential for a big significant snowstorm. That would be fun. Patriots gotta lose, man. They gotta lose. I need that number 2 pick very badly, very bad. I need to see Caleb Williams or Drake May. Right, there's 3 options. It's gotta be Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison, Drake May. One of those 3 needs to be in a Patriot uniform next has to be one of those 3. Okay, let's get to, probabilities. Look at a few couple more things here on the Jets, and we'll wrap it up. The Giants, the total what's the ceiling of it? If everything works out perfect, it's hard to say because some of the stuff still needs to be sampled. In turn, when I say sampled, I mean we still just, need a little bit more time to figure out exactly what all the pieces on the table are. With that being said, though, it wouldn't it there's definitely a potential. City, I think you'll always be able to Jones, that's what makes Jones. That 2016 Blizzard, that's because it's very hard to get that kind of but I think the max potential for anyone this one, it's hard, but it's definitely over 12, right? It'd be a 1 to 2 foot kind of thing, but and it wouldn't be the whole area, it'd be right it'd be whoever gets into the best banding, but I think there's a really good shot for right now for there to be 6 to 12 plus. There's a really good shot for a lot of people, and just in general. Right now, that doesn't mean there's not gonna be some banning where there's gonna be, 12 to 18 it could be, but or maybe you never know, it could be depending on how it sets up. The reason why I think there is that potential, if everything works out, is we talked about this, is the way that, right, we get this board starts to amplify, and then it slides out. And then maybe there's a potential even for there could be a sweet spot if this injects into the trough, this piece that's gonna come through here, and that helps intensify that board again, like we saw in the Euro a little bit, that can make things interesting, but that's why there's still a lot that needs to be sorted out. Kinda slides this piece here a little bit, it's hard to say, whatever it takes. That's why this one's still hard to say out because that energy is gonna be solely dependent on what happens with here a lot, not solely, but a big part, how that injects to the trough, and then you get this rock and roll and consolidate a little bit better, and then you get some enhancement. So that's why I think there's a high ceiling with this system. But going back to these capabilities, Jaden Daniels mechanics are really good. Yeah. Those guys are I wouldn't I wouldn't mind settling for Jaden Daniels, but that would mean we get Marvin Harrison too, so, but the go back, previous run, you can see, look at these getting bigger and bigger, right, increasing, right? Don't be so caught up if it shrinks a little bit for, like, one spot. But you look at it in general, those you look for the area, right? Probability of 6 plus inches of snowfall at 10 to 1 ratios, by the way, which for some people, when that traffic happens, it could be, uh, older, but we can discuss that and go into details as we get closer. But, you see a good wide swath of, 40 plus percent, and then 50, and 60, and then a swath of 70%, in here as well, Texas. I got the TV on behind my stream right now watching, just saw that deep pass. But take a look at the old probabilities. Yeah, I see, that would be insane if they pulled it off. This is only through hour 144 too, mind you. Only through hour 144. That's 18Z, and then 12Z, it goes out a little bit farther. I mean, a good swath of 70%, pretty wide swath of 70 plus percent there for 6 plus inches of snow is 5 to 6, 5.5 days out. That's from 12Z tickets. That's I'll be curious to see what it looks like on the OZ tonight. The timing of the Euro's a little bit slower. The timing is a little bit slower on its timing's a little bit slower on the Euro because, um, just of the GFS sheds off that piece pretty quickly. It's a little bit GFS is always gonna have a tendency to be a little bit faster and more progressive as well. So one last thing, I'll take you guys' questions, hop off, and then please hop into Billy's stream after. Oh, Josh. What was I gonna look for here? Let me go. I'm playing all around with this stuff. If Texas does this, I'll be impressed. That's a really good mean. A 997 that far out, 997. I mean, that's a really good mean that far out. That's a really good mean to have that far out. I really do think there's a good potential for a lot of people to get in. Now, in the full on blockbuster, a little bit too it's a little bit too um, but the potential there for this could absolutely be a blockbuster. A lot of good things to look at, from tonight or what's tonight? It's gonna be Michigan, that's a take right there. Michigan's defense is so good. I really thought there was a lot of good football in that game. It was just good defense, but that's beside the point. Alright, what we got for questions? What we got for questions? Got some questions? No, hot battery, pop all you got. Pop all the questions, you need. I mean, yeah, if you guys don't got any more questions, that's fine. Temps for the storm? Yeah, I wanted to go into that. We can do, ensemble. And I notice as it once you get to the backside of the storm, so there'll be some better cold air to work with at that point. You start getting into some of these interior spots, start getting into the mid to low 20s, and then you can start to hit on some of those better ratio snows, especially when um, you see how that cold air really starts getting down. That's we just looked at this, for example. We just looked at this, for example. And you see, right, as that I talked about this a little bit, right, but as the secondary starts to take over, see how those temps start to crash, right? You wanna be at least a few degrees below Celsius. You wanna be at least a few degrees below Celsius, right? Ideally, you're -3 to -5 at least at 850. So at the surface, you'll be below. And once you start getting -10, you're -10 at 850 across, some of these places right in here. That's a good recipe to get some high ratio snow. So, yeah, I think that pretty much covers it though. Yeah, he's I'm gonna watch this. I'm gonna watch this. You guys all good though? I don't wanna go too far into temperatures until we don't have a clear cut solution yet, so that's why it's not worth it, but that is clear to me. Once that transfer happens, that's when you start getting those temps to crash, and a lot of people would start getting not only on decent snow, but, at least 10 to 1 ratio snow too. Alright, let's cut it here. I appreciate everyone that came in tonight. Do the same thing again, I don't know what timing, but around the same time. So, or ideally, right after during the GFS, somewhere around there. Alright, peace everybody.